You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hello, good evening, this is Force 13 Live. Hi, how are you? My name's Nathan Foy, and over the next 2 hours or so we'll be discussing what's going on around the world. In the first hour we're going to be mainly covering Tropical Storm Nanmadol, which is about to make landfall in Japan in the next hour or so. And of course in the second hour we're going to be talking more about what's going on elsewhere with the invests, which are quite abundant elsewhere, particularly in the East Pacific and in the Atlantic. 94L, which could form pretty soon, as could the East Pacific invests. And the reason why we're covering Nanmadol first is because it could well make landfall in this hour, if things go to plan, so to speak, because it is moving rather quickly. Well, let me introduce the Skype team right now. There's quite a few people here at this hour. How is everyone this evening?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
That's the voice of Dane over there in somewhere in the United States. I always forget where.
Kentucky.
There's also several other people here as well. That was Leighton there as well. Hank is also joining us from his very remote location, where his connection may not give us too much to shout about. Let's hope it stays with us. Craig is also with us here, I believe. Somewhere?
Yeah, I'm present.
Ah, yes, there's Craig, who you just about heard. And David. How are you, David?
Not bad, over here on the east coast of Australia.
And Orlando as well, sorry. Forgot. So, 6 people joining us for the event tonight. We're here for just 2 hours. I honestly can't do any more than 2 hours tonight, unfortunately. But there we are. If you've got any questions for us whilst we're on the air, do send us a message on the YouTube page right now. Of course, we will respond in real time, if you're watching us in real time, of course. And right next to my head, you can see the 2 Invest, not the 2 Invest, but Nanmadol at the top there, the latest Imagery, and Invest 94L, which you'll get to see better later on. And you can see them there right now, and how Nanmadol looks on the infrared imagery moving inland. Who'd like to begin?
Oh, let's see. Nanmadol has been a rather interesting storm so far. It's really small compared to most of these tropical storms that move up and hit the area around, say, Nagasaki and other parts of Kyushu. And what's interesting about it is that it's moving really quickly, and for that reason, it's only a stage 1 on the Cyclone Destructive Potential Scale, or the CDPS for short. As Nathan said, should make landfall in the hour if this pace keeps up. And it's not really going to be a wind maker. It's probably going to be a rainmaker by the look of it, because it looks like it's trying to flare up some pretty intense convection last minute, right before it makes landfall in Kyushu. If you were, this storm currently has winds of 55 miles an hour and a pressure of 989 millibars. It is weakened slightly in terms of intensity. 70 miles an hour.
And it did look better earlier today as well, and indeed yesterday, you could argue.
That's what it had a pretty interesting eye, actually. It's not really gotten its act together right now, so if you're, again, flooding should be the most imminent threat from the system, and yeah, it probably won't be too damaging because of how fast it's moving, like I said earlier. But you never know with these little systems. They can flare up and they can drop some area that they're impacting. And if I'm sounding a little bit choppy right now, I do apologize. I'm currently in a remote location in Colorado, not my typical home, so the reception here is not as great. But regardless, I'd hear nonetheless. But yes, Nanmadol is imminent threat. Is the most imminent threat to land right now.
Yeah, and you can see those convective bands, and someone just had the radar up not long ago. Who was that?
I had a radar up. There's a radar.
I have, yeah, in
Let's just
telecast
get a
stuff,
close
so
up
it might
on
have been
that.
my screenshot you were seeing.
Let's get a close-up on that radar there. You can see what's going on right now. There's some heavy activity going on over the island of Kyushu at the moment, over what would appear to be central parts of the island, southern and central parts, where, what's the rain rate there? Something close to 50 or 60 millimeters per hour.
The JMA stays 80 millimeters an hour in some areas, according to the radar.
Yeah.
Possibly 80
Looks
in the biggest band next to its center.
Looks
Yeah.
like the wall is just about to hit land, and that's where it looks like the most intense rainfall of the entire system is located. So, and you also got to watch out for these bands that come in before the eye. Remember, it's not just the center of the storm that really means anything. It's also the outer bands of the storm that can bring you some pretty bad rainfall totals and potentially some damaging winds and even tornadoes. Tornadoes really aren't that big of a threat with this system because it's not really. Westpac systems don't tend to have as much tornadic activity, so to speak, as compared to the Atlantic. So this is probably going to be just a rainmaker, as I said earlier, and the eye wall should bring the worst of it, most likely to areas probably just south of Nagasaki. I'm not too keen on my Kyushu geography. Check up on that really quick. Someone else is talking. So if anyone else wants to go ahead.
I've got a tornado risk graphic now on the JMO website. It's not like its areas mapped out. Not very good with the area, but there is a level 2 tornado risk around here. That's the main convective band in the center of the system. And then
That's interesting.
Explain what exactly is a level 2 tornado for anyone who's
I did. Mainly coastal areas there, though. But no, look at the bottom there. Basically, the level 2 areas are 7 to 14% chance of hazardous winds, such as tornadoes, which doesn't sound completely clear. And level 1 is 1 to 7% chance in a given hour.
Yeah, somebody just really quickly, just to butt in, sorry about that. California in mapping just asked, will Nanmadol become a typhoon? It's too close to land, it's moving too fast.
They also asked earlier whether there's been any hurricanes in California.
No, we're not. Let's not go there. That's not really what we're trying to focus on right now. Let's focus on the main topic.
No, not really. But we'll have plenty of time to discuss that in the second hour, and I'm sure that will come up in conversation when we talk about the East Pacific systems. Obviously, it left the Philippine area some time ago. It was named Imong by the Philippines, and that was when it was strengthening as it was moving towards the southernmost Japanese islands. But at the moment, its general movement is somewhere towards the northeast, and it's
directly northeast.
It's at 24 knots, which is quite some speed. But these systems often do. It's been a very compact one as well, hasn't it?
Really, like, it's much smaller than your average Western Pacific system, or any system for that matter.
Yeah.
But don't let that fool you or anything, because these small systems can still be quite dangerous.
Small system can still pack a punch. My screen share is currently showing the latest infrared loop. If anyone can see that.
Yeah, we did see that, but we also have well, that's a sort of a longer time period that you can see there. But what we're showing right now on the main screen there is the latest close-up from the Himawari satellite, running at about, what is it that they do? They have 2.5-minute intervals on those, I believe. And at the bottom, you can just about see what it looks like on the visible. If you want to show visible to us in the bigger view, I'd be happy to show that.
Yep.
I'll pull that up really quick. Well, it's
Well, I
actually
might
already
pull
on
it
the
up
screen.
in telecast right here, which is
If you want, the bigger
decent.
view, so to speak, I will pull it up right now.
I have a
Yeah.
visible pull.
But this is the.
There's a battle going on here to bring you the latest imagery.
And
And
small
this-
stats of my screen
This is
share.
over- Gosh, this is over a 7-hour period, and it's moving at about 25 knots or miles an hour. I don't remember.
That's 30 miles an hour, I
But-
believe.
Yeah, 25 knots, 30 miles an hour, but it's moving pretty fast towards this area. So that is one saving grace in one regard. And as you can see, it's not exactly well organized. I mean, it's very heavily weighted to the east, and the center is still right about. If you can see my mouse at the very last frame, center is right about here, while most of the action is going on right here.
Something
so
I've never considered,
it's
Hank.
very weighted to the east. There is some wind.
Hank must have a significant delay there, by the way,
Hmm?
because of the signal. But I was just going to say about this question that just popped into my mind here. This system's moving really quickly, nearly 30 miles an hour. Do they factor that in with the wind speed that they come out with on their advisories?
I don't think so, because if I'm looking at this and just one single frame like what we're seeing right now on the screen right here, I would probably say it's 65 miles an hour. So just because the wind speeds might as well be higher than that if we're counting in the actual flow of the winds into the system. But it's probably, don't let that fool. It's probably just stick with 65 miles an hour for now, because I got a little confused. That's Atlantic stuff. I'm very keen on Atlantic. This is West Pacific is different. It's probably still 65 miles an hour regardless of any inflow or whatever.
Interesting.
As of 2150 UTC, Nanmadol was located near 3205 north, 12855 east, with 10-minute winds of 65 miles an hour and a pressure of 985 millibars.
And I see that my screen share is going.
And gusts are reaching 90 miles an hour near the centre.
Yeah, interesting. And that might catch a few people out, especially where those gusts are occurring. But the wind field is not very big at all, is it?
The 50-knot wind area is 40 kilometers wide, and 30-knot wind area is 190 kilometers across to the east and 150 kilometers to the west of the center.
Very eastern focus, because of the direction it's moving. And
Well, whilst we're waiting, in fact, I'm going to grab some more imagery. So whilst I do that, let's, in fact, take a little look at what's going on in the Atlantic right now. When I just remove this image, there we are. This is what Suze is saying, Force 13 Suze, as soon as I can put it on the screen properly. This is the latest disturbance, which we tagged A7 before it became an official Invest, and of course the Invest is now 94L. And the latest Suze forecast, force13.com.uk/sews.html. Oh, there it is, wonderful. That's where you can see the latest advisories that we're putting out, which we do prior to the storm's formation. And as you can see, we're predicting it will become a tropical storm. So guys, whilst I take a look for some new imagery, what do you guys think of the prospects for 94L?
so this is a very interesting setup. It's a very interesting setup that we have for this system. I can just screen share really quick. This is the setup for the wave right now. Right now, it is. There we go. It's embedded within this monsoon trough, and what that can do is that can create a little bit of an envelope for the system. where it has more moisture and it can avoid sort of the impacts from the Saharan air layer, which would typically share these, which would put these things apart because it's just so prominent during the month of July. This is not the case with this system. Very simple. Last time I saw, the most similar thing I remember to seeing this would be in July of 1996, and what spawned out of that became Hurricane Bertha. That went on to hit Carolina's Cat 2. Not saying that this system will do that, but that is just one thing. And I see that my screen share has been stolen once more.
And there is a loop of what it looks like there.
So yeah, this is the whole thing right here. I'm not sure if you guys saw what I was talking about earlier because someone stole my screen share.
We did.
But okay. So this system.
There's a lot of typing going on somewhere as well.
So this is tomorrow.
Go ahead, Hank.
This is tomorrow, and you can see that we might start getting actually possibly a closed circulation with this tomorrow. It's just one model, though, so take this with too much certainty. This is Wednesday, continuing west, and this thing is going to probably bump up to the north a little bit and then continue its westward progress. Right now, it's a little bit confused. It's a little bit split. Most of the models are taking it north of the. Recently, the most recent European model run said that this system would move to the Caribbean. So whenever the European says something like that, not the only model saying it. NavGem is also on board. So, and recently, as some of you might already know, the GFS has been creating some really intensities while it's moving towards Bermuda. Don't pay attention to that. It's too far out to know for sure where the system is going to go or if any land areas are impacted. So right now, we just need to take a look at the system, see if it actually develops first off, and then we can actually start making, forecasts as to where it's going to go. For now, it's just a little wave that's just embedded in the monsoon trough that is taking its sweet time to develop. And if you're curious, the next name on the list is Dawn. So,
yes.
Donald Trump.
that'll be
the 2100Z NHC update on the Eastern Pacific tropical weather discussion has upped the tropical wave off the coast of Central America to a medium potential in 48 hours.
Okay, so yeah, there's also those two other systems in the Eastern Pacific that I can pull up right now.
Yeah, when it comes to those East Pacific systems, because of the distance between them, I wouldn't be surprised if one ends up developing, and then that one basically shears the other one out of existence.
Not really. We see these sorts of patterns all the time in July. This happened last year throughout pretty much the entire month, and they're always far out enough that they don't really get in each other's way. So this is the current wind graphic right now. This is 94E, the invest, and this over here, somewhere in here, I can't tell for certain, is the other area we're watching that has it's actually in 94E. The next two names on the list are Eugene and Fernanda, if you're curious. And right now in 94E, it looks like it's going to move towards the west, as you would expect for this time of the year, move potentially into the Central Pacific. Again, it's early to say that, but it's possible. The system behind that will probably follow its footsteps, as you would expect for July, and move south and free of any land interaction with Mexico. Some people are asking if you hear moving in the Pacific, what would the impacts be in Hawaii? It's too early to say if it even gets there at all. So, if you're in any of these areas that I'm mentioning, just keep a watchful eye out. I mean, again, it's good. The good news is it's early, so if there is anything that actually is coming your way, you could actually have time to make preparations and stuff before anything can happen. Not saying anything will happen, but just in case. And I've been talking for quite a while.
All right.
So
if you've probably seen it already, but the radar I've got up now out of Japan showing the. I've obviously seen it already, but I just wanted to get it on my screen here because the quality is a little bit better than on the Skype call due to connections and whatnot. Particularly on Hack's end, the connection is pretty poor. We get it a bit pixelated over there, but. There you can see the center of Nanmadol moving towards Kyushu, and you got to say a lot of storms end up being significantly larger than that island, and this one's probably only about 2/3 its size.
Yeah, it is a really small system. To be honest, I'm surprised it hasn't just been ripped apart.
Well, no, it's had a bit more to it than that.
It's moving quickly, so if it was moving at like 10 miles an hour, then certainly it would just.
Bear in mind here. Bear in mind here that sea surface temperatures are lower than 26 degrees and have been for some hours. Which is obviously the threshold which is typically required for tropical cyclones, but that means nothing anymore because Alex happened last year and Arlene happened this year.
Oh god.
Yeah, Alex, Arlene,
Hank, we can't hear you, but
the exceptions to the list are piling up.
Well, that's because of upper atmospheric things. It's not just sea surface temperatures that require tropical cyclone benefits. It's other stuff, especially in these pre-season storms that we've been seeing a lot lately. It's always the upper atmosphere that really aids them in development. But that's all topics. So
well, if the sea surface temperatures were warm enough, we'd probably be looking at a Category 1 typhoon right now. But it isn't.
If the storm is moving slower, we see a Cat 1.
Possibly, yes.
Possibly, yeah.
Echo there. But you can see the central core of the storm, what you would ordinarily call an eye wall if it was a typhoon, is just about to move ashore. Not far from Nagasaki, if my geography serves me correctly. But that whole area of central Kyushu will get the largest, the strongest part of the storm.
Oh yeah, the eye wall. I mean, that's not a but it's.
We're not really getting you, Hank, right now, I'm afraid.
But I hear myself, so I would assume that I'm fine right now. But
yep.
There's that is an eye wall that's moving ashore. Yes, it is not a typhoon, but you don't need typhoon force winds to have an eye wall. So once that moves ashore, then all coastal communities should be clear for any more inclement weather from the storm.
Indeed. Let's see if we can get an updated image on that one at all. This is from the JMA's website, and there you can see the whole picture across Japan there. And there we are with what we have. And the nice thing about their graphics is that they have forecasted radar images as well, which look a bit like this that we're just going through here. This is their forecasted radar. Which takes some time.
What was that?
Sounds like someone was in a tornado just now, but that is the latest there. And of course warnings are out in force pretty much halfway up the coast of Japan now. And interesting to note, one band of Nanmadol is just brushing the south coast of South Korea as well, the southeastern tip really. Some inclement weather occurring there too, by the looks of things on that radar. There's a satellite somewhere. There it is, the latest imagery. And it seems to be losing its shape if you look at the satellite.
It does look like it's started an extratropical transition in the last few frames. The circulation is starting to become a little bit elongated now.
Well,
it's going to become a front really, isn't it?
It's forecast to merge with the front.
It's not really. It might be getting from the beginning to be developing some functional features. The target is still, even if it does somehow transition, like really quickly, it's not going to have any effect on the impacts of the storm.
True indeed. It'll just focus the energy on the frontal side of the system. Oh god, what is going on with my laptop?
Oh dear.
Yep.
But interesting to note the northern side there with some significant cloud tops occurring.
Yeah.
And you can tell that side of the storm is going to be most significant in the next, within the next hour.
Most likely.
I'm looking at its progress at the moment. Do you think it's slowed down at all? It seems to be. I know the imagery goes through pretty slowly on this, but don't forget they're taken at intervals of 2.5 minutes, rather than what we're often accustomed to seeing, like the stuff at the bottom of your screen, which covers the course of around 7 hours. What you're seeing at the top there only covers something like, I think about an hour or so is covered in that.
Well, it's probably moving the same pace. You got to be careful of watching hurricane motions because during the time, depending on when the frame was taken, it might look like it's moving in a different direction. The next frame comes, and it's moving back in the direction it was originally going. So, but then again, storms like Debbie happen, and it just throws us all for a fun little run. But that's not going to pull up Debbie. It's just moving too fast.
Jumping back to the radar there, you can see its progression on there. Obviously, radar is much better in actually discerning where the center of a storm is, and obviously for rain rate. And if we look through this, I believe this covers the last 3 hours. Unfortunately, I can't get it to go any faster, the animation, but this is what the last 3 hours has looked like. And if I could just fast forward to what we were at the latest image, we're nearly there now. The latest image there, that one is the latest, and you can see the edge of the center area is just about to clip land, and I would say, looking at that, it's difficult to tell when we're watching it animate as it goes around, but it's going to be a matter of minutes, I feel. Bearing in mind that the last radar image was it's only 7 minutes old, so yeah, I'd say looking at that, probably another half hour.
Should make landfall within the next half an hour to an hour, looking at it, yeah.
Should make landfall soon. Let's just put it that way.
Should make landfall pretty close, like Kumamoto, Japan, or like
yeah,
some
thinking
coastal community near that area.
Probably between Umata and Kumamoto, somewhere.
And if anyone has any comments or questions for us, do let us know, and we'll endeavour to answer. Craig, you've been quiet so far. I don't know if you have anything to talk about or to share with us.
Not really.
Oh, that's a change. You always have something to say.
I'm the one with always something to say.
Yes.
That's true. That is very
But
true.
yeah, speaking of something to say, I'm looking at imagery right now, and if anything, I think it's most likely to make landfall on I think it's Shimoshima Island, if I pronounce that correctly. If I butchered that,
right.
But I don't really see. Just looking at Google Maps, I don't really see. I see a couple of communities on the island. I see. Oh boy, I'm going to butcher these names really badly. Reihuku, Amakusa, Nagashima, Gosura, and
Yep.
no, I'm not going to try that one.
All right. We could barely hear you there, Craig, though, unfortunately.
Maybe in the future. Minami Ishamamara.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Well, on the other side, town names could be a hell of a lot worse.
Alright. David, do you have anything for us at this moment in time?
I was just wondering if we could have a look at the models on 94. I believe a amplifying trough is playing, what is it? Playing havoc with some of the models.
I'm currently looking at modelling at the moment.
And Dane, I think you had something to say. Try again.
Maybe not.
I'm not
Oh.
necessarily sure what you're talking about, but I've managed. But it looks like the WRF has 94 getting pretty strong. Of course, it's kind of far out, but here, I'll screen share
Okay.
it, see if it
We're-
pops up.
We're looking at a
Let's
lot
hope
of
this
things this
works.
evening, so
I'll tell you what. Let's just start with 94L because David said 94, and there's two 94s.
that's
so-
true. That's very true. It can get
Well,
confusing.
thank
Well-
you for
well, the-
clarifying
well, the-
that one.
Imagery is showing right now 94E, so we may. Oh, you're going to 94. Okay, go.
So, okay, this is a model that's been really. Someone stole my screen share again.
Well, it's not me.
Whoever's
It was there
doing that,
somewhere.
please stop.
However, I can say that the GFS
So-
which I'm looking. Go on.
This is the GFS. This is the model that's been really bullish about intensity, northeast of the Bahamas, and please don't pay attention to that. That's just too far out. That's something I really have to stress a lot, it feels like, nowadays. But it's showing a tropical storm. Not too strong, and it just dissipates
Yes.
once we get a week out. Maybe even
Everyone's
sooner.
got bad feedback.
ECWF, I was hinting to this a little bit earlier, how it moves into the Caribbean. Possibly a brief tropical depression. That's probably about it from this. And then moves in the Caribbean, slaughtered by shears. So that's about it. CMC model is showing. I know it's showing like 5 storms in the Eastern Pacific, but that's a.
Oh yes.
That's the CMC all over. Looking at the mod.
2 weeks.
Oh, look
It
at that.
doesn't
Yes.
look like it's.
Well,
You mean?
am I right in
Well,
saying that a recent CMC run took 94L to Florida?
Yes, that was very early this morning.
And
It was
Yeah.
probably a tropical wave or something by that point, though.
So
Now,
that
Jam
ties in
is-
very well with the question that Bryce T just asked. Any chances of 94L to hit Florida? Very low, I would say. Well, not very low, but and follows it up. Is it too early to tell? Yes, would be more inclined to agree with that.
too early to tell. And NavGem moves us also into the Caribbean as a slightly stronger system. So that's something that I was hinting to earlier. We might need to keep an eye on that. Really
Quite.
had
That's
Our
interesting.
F. Let's actually zoom out a little bit. And the HWF model was coming out. HWF is showing storm developing in about. That's by Friday, and that's when the model ends, so it's not very long. So now that's 94L. Now let's check 94E in the Eastern Pacific. Well, take a look at AOI in the Eastern Pacific as well. And my computer is being rather slow with me. My connection.
Yes.
Bear with me.
Struggling with that connection
And
there.
I'm currently looking at the
GFS
HMON model.
GFS, that HMON probably is. It's still operational at this stage, and I don't really know if that's something we should really show, because it's not very. It's not something that we probably should show, actually.
Well, Leighton, would you like to first tell us what it says?
It's got northwestward drift for the first day or so, and it swings to the northwest, and then gradually turns to the west-northwest, and then it's off in about 5 days to the north of the Lesser Antilles.
What intensity?
52 knots.
Oh my.
That's 60 miles an hour.
All right. Well, as you were, Hank.
So yeah, back to the Eastern Pacific. GF going 90. The AOI get going, so, and that's at least right there. Drop the storm. ECMWF, oh boy, shows what it looked like both were forming, or actually, yeah, both were forming. This could be a hurricane, and it shows this one was becoming a hurricane, but know how far out this is.
I'm afraid to say, Hank, we're barely getting the gist of this because of the poor connection. But it looks like it's come back now. Try now.
Okay, so this GFS parallel model showing that both the just disregard this intensity.
Oh boy, what does that say?
948.
948.
The GFS parallel has been performed pretty
They also
badly
said
this year.
disregard.
Do you realise you're looking
It goes bullish on intensity as well, following by its actual models. Nice. DMC, ignore all the million systems that form for now, and it's also taking a while to load.
CMC predicts 5 storms a week for the East Pack alone.
The European model has 3 or 4, I
You can
believe.
see this map that's going on right now. Only one of them really gets going as a legitimate tropical storm. But yeah. And NavGem is coming out this one right now. NavGem is showing... Okay. Alright, NavGem is showing... nothing.
I'm currently looking at the HMON for 94E, and it's got a 75 knot hurricane.
Is showing that for HWF, showing probably a hurricane. And yeah, that's a cat. Actually, probably a cat too. Just barely there, but that's about Dora's intensity.
Dora's intensity, yeah.
Yeah, those are the models.
Well, there we are.
I hear Dora's.
Nathan,
I'm sure we'll get another look at the models later, indeed. The images are still loading on the latest radar, but we will have radar from Japan shortly. David.
we have this question from one of our viewers. We post 90W and whether it's going to redevelop. Yeah, posting this 90W is it regenerating convections last afternoon, UTC plus
Not that
8.
I know of.
No, not looking at satellite imagery. The models aren't really redeveloping it either.
What I think it's going to do, I think it's most likely just going to die because
Yeah.
it's already dead. But it's not really going to have too much effect. It was declassified, I think, yesterday or the day before. So that's something we need to take into consideration as well. Really quickly, I just wanted to state what the UK Met is saying. I don't have the actual model runs on that storm, unfortunately, just because of the way that drop is. But it is showing that 94L does have a 62% chance of development within 104 days. And it's also saying that the Eastern Pacific storm will only become a weak tropical storm. At least that's what I remember.
Curious. I mean, I think we're due for a big system somewhere in the Pacific.
Yes, probably going to end up being in the EPAC though, because Eastern Pacific is starting to get there, but it's slow. It's slow to go.
So's the Western Pacific, but we could end up having a lot of it later on in the year. I don't know if you want to dabble into the climatological extent at the moment, Hank. I know you keep on top of that.
Yeah, okay, so what do you mean exactly by climate?
you know, looking at the analogs and what we'd expect in this month and beyond.
So for this month, July is really a big month for the Eastern Pacific. That's when last year displayed the perfect month. And what happens then is that you only get storms training one after another. Not as extreme as last year, normally we 4, maybe a little bit that. Last year we had 8. And hurricane, and they don't threaten land very often. The only land area that actually sometimes gets threatened was Hawaii.
Oh yes.
And they got hit last year, which nothing, anyways, but it was still something of note. Now for the Atlantic, it's similar to July. Similar to June, just maybe a slight bit more active. And you normally have longer-lived storms because they begin starting to come out of the tropical wave that originate off Africa. Brett was an anomaly, so that's one thing.
Brett
but
lasted for about a day. Cindy was how long in the end as a tropical storm?
Like 48 hours, I think, but
right.
more than that. But
so you think Don will beat it?
Well, if this thing actually becomes named for one,
yeah.
Probably, because models are showing at least 3 days, if not longer than that. They have backed off somewhat, though, because yesterday I was seeing a run from the GFS. I was just looking at it for the fun of it, and it was showing a Fabian-type storm.
Oh, goodness.
I don't want to get into that.
Well, hey, I'm assuming Craig's showing us that
it was showing
screenshot
something pretty bullish
right now, Hank. And is that severe weather? Sorry, Hank. Craig?
Yeah, it is.
What's going on?
Possible tornado.
A possible tornado, Craig says. You can barely hear him, but this is what's going on right now. There are some severe thunderstorm warnings active right now in northern Texas and in Oklahoma.
Yeah. It's impossible.
And further north as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah,
Very interesting.
2 TDSs on the same cell. That close together.
So there's some severe weather going on tonight as well. It's all going on.
Looking at the latest infrared imagery, it looks as though Nanmadol is about to make landfall and cross out into the Kumamoto Bay, I think it's called.
Yeah, landfall appears to be imminent and has been since we started the show, pretty much. We do expect it will happen 20 minutes or less, perhaps. I don't know at this point. I'm losing track of time myself. But if anyone's got any questions for us whilst we're here, you can always go right ahead. Whilst we're here until midnight UTC, so we're here for another 1 hour and a bit.
1 hour and 17 minutes.
Yes, so let's see if we can get just the very latest picture. We won't animate it or anything. This is the very latest picture of Nanmadol, and you can see how rather close it is to making a landfall. And I'd suggest that it's, well, if we jog back here and find out where exactly the center is, it's probably still a little bit offshore there. And I would suggest could still be another half hour yet. 20 to 30 minutes I'd suggest until landfall. Of course, it depends how you define landfall. A lot of agencies say that a landfall is when the beginning of the eye or center moves over land, and if you use that definition, like Pegasa does, and I think, does the NHC do that now? I don't know, but if that does occur, you would say that this storm has made landfall if you use that definition. Personally, I go by the center of the center, if that would make sense. The absolute center of the storm, which is still probably around 10 miles, maybe 15 miles offshore.
One could say that landfall is a bit dubious of a term because that would suggest that any part of the storm hits land. It doesn't. I don't know what you would call it though, because landfall seems kind of a little bit weird because
Well, it's interesting because
some people think it's just landfall is linear.
Yeah, but you know,
It's-
if the outer band has made landfall, the outer band has made landfall. You could argue even that's a landfall, for goodness sake.
I apologise for butting in, but an enhanced risk for severe thunderstorms has been issued by the Storm Prediction Centre. There's 2 severe thunderstorm watches and an MD currently active.
Yeah.
There has been a tornado report. I'm going to look that up now. Yeah, Broadview, New Mexico.
Interesting.
A well-developed landscape was reported by multiple sources. Luckily, no damage reported.
Wow. Well, there we are. Current time coming up to 11:45 UTC. Over there in Japan, it must be getting towards 7:45 now, I believe, in the morning. And of course, on the US East Coast, we're getting towards what, 7 o'clock?
7 p.m. Yes.
Yes. And how's the weather going over there in Kentucky?
Definitely sunny. It's more of like a hazy sun kind of being blocked out by the clouds, but it's still like physically bringing down light. What's odd is that in my specific area of the state, it's not necessarily raining currently, but it's raining both to the south and to the north.
Huh.
There are scattered rain showers over southern Kentucky, like south of Lexington, and then like near Columbus.
All right.
If you want to talk about hazy, just come over here. There's wildfires to my east.
Oh wow.
My west, excuse me. So that's fun, I guess. I mean, it's gone down slightly, but still got them. It's pretty hazy over here, to say the least. And
Okay. Well, yeah.
it's not. It's washed out by the rain. I get occasional rain that we pretty much never get now, but whatever. Yeah. And it's really dry. Really, really, really dry.
So let's. I mean, we've looked at models and we've looked at pretty much everything at this point. So I want a little bit more opinions, perhaps. What do you guys think will be the fate of Invest 94L in the Atlantic?
Well, first it has to be named, but it's kind of a toss-up right now. Some models are showing the Caribbean solution and just dying there. Other models are showing it move north and staying stronger.
Oh my God.
Honestly, you have the ECMWF disagreeing with normal spaghetti mall consensus. You got to question whether or not the actual spaghetti malls are correct or not. And you know, there's been plenty of examples out there. Not enough time to go through them, but normally, more times than less, ECMWF's more right than spaghetti malls in October, and it's July. So really, anything can happen with this system. If I were to guess an intensity, I hate doing this, but first of all, I got to get the storm to form, and if it'd probably be a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane. I'm not sure. Again, to reiterate, the next name on the list is Dawn. That'll be interesting to say the least. And yeah, it's not land impact. We're not too sure. Maybe it's going to be more impact on land.
Yeah.
Stays north. Maybe the Bahamas and Bermuda got to watch out, but that's really far out. East Coast United States. I don't think this would impact the East Coast. Reasoning why? There should be a ridge that develops, a double blocking ridge over the eastern portion of the United States. That should serve kind of as a wall for the system, so it can move out to sea a little bit. That pun intended. I'm so sorry about that. But and if it moves in the Caribbean, it would probably just die out and get sheared to death.
All right, Hank, I gotta move along here. David, do you have some news for us?
Not a thing, would you believe? Very,
Well,
very quiet.
You've just posted some thunderstorm news.
Severe thunderstorm warning, including Lodgepole, Northeast, Sunnol, NE. And I know I'm no good on the states of America, so NE would. I'm waiting for you to respond, Nathan. So
What you said,
NE.
NE, Nebraska.
Nebraska, yeah.
Nebraska. Right, thank you.
Right.
Got that. Very strong supercell northeast of Meadow Lake near Sled Lake. Could possibly be producing a tornado.
Interesting,
currently
wherever that might be.
monitoring
Yeah, which state is that in?
Yes.
There are a few isolated things going on out there, but the main bulk of the activity is in northern Texas and Oklahoma. But there are a few other areas.
Yeah, if you look at my screen share, I basically have like the radar for.
Sounds like we're losing everyone's signal today.
I've got the same radar open. I know what he's on about.
But we can see it, so go ahead.
There's a... What, you want me to talk?
I don't know, but we just we lost.
There's a possible
State.
tornado near Freedom, Oklahoma. It's moving to the east-southeast. Weird track. Heading towards Waynoka, Avard, Hopeton, Tacoma. Let me see if that's tornado warned or anything.
No, I don't believe there's any tornado warnings out there yet, but there are a few severe thunderstorm warnings.
It's got a severe thunderstorm warning on it. Let me just double check what the warning says and I'll read the full thing out.
And while you're doing
I'm not sure we'll
that,
have time for that.
This posting, severe storms growing, advancing southeast, all through northwest Oklahoma, wind gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour, main threats.
But there's there were some isolated severe thunderstorm warnings, mainly in northeastern Colorado, that have been spreading into Nebraska. But there is one area in northeastern Nebraska as well that is under a severe thunderstorm warning too, which is actually the one that's just being highlighted there by Craig, I think it is, thank you, the red area. But you can see that line there on the left-hand side stretching from north to south. That's just over the border from Colorado to Nebraska. And then further south you've got pretty much the main event right now, which is several severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect across Oklahoma and northern Texas, with quite a large watch area there as well, covering the whole region and a good half
this
of
warning's
Oklahoma.
probably worth reading out. Severe thunderstorm warning for
Right.
northwestern Woods County and Woodward County in northwestern Oklahoma. 5:51 p.m. Central Time, a severe thunderstorm is located 8 miles southeast of Albuquerque Calvin State Park, moving east at 35 miles an hour. Hazard 80 mile an hour wind gusts and golf ball sized hail. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be heavily damaged. Expect considerable damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles. Extensive tree damage and power outages are likely. Locations impacted include Woodward, Moreland, Freedom, Quinlan, Albuquerque Calvin State Park, Camp Houston. This is a dangerous situation with tornado-like wind speeds expected. Mobile homes and high-profile vehicles are especially susceptible to winds of this magnitude and may be overturned. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of the building. The storm has the potential to cause serious injury and significant property damage. This thunderstorm is capable of producing all types of severe weather, including extremely large hail, destructive straight-line winds, and perhaps tornadoes. Move quickly to safe shelter, such as an interior room, a bathroom, closet, or basement. Torrential rainfall is also occurring with this storm and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. They're sounding pretty much like a standard PDS warning for a tornado.
And
There
the
you
National Weather Service in Norman is reporting 5:55 p.m. at local time. Sorry for this, but the stream is moving. Storms approaching Ray Nolka could produce 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Take cover and stay indoors. That's in WS Norman.
Yeah, I've just read that warning out. It looks to have a bow sort of structure on radar. Oh, God.
Interesting, right now it looks as though Nanmadol will make landfall in about 15 minutes. That's the latest radar image right there. In about 15 minutes, landfall will probably occur. If you've got any questions for us, there is one actually. Is Colorado still in a heat wave? Hank, do you know? Is he still here?
I am here, but I didn't hear your question.
Oh, just is Colorado still in a heat wave? Someone wanted to know.
Not really. I mean, it's only compared to home, it's quite nice, but
compared to Texas.
Yeah, compared to Colorado is a bit hot.
God.
Yeah.
To be expected, and during this time of year, where I am actually, it's average. Compared to last summer where we were 100 degrees at this time of year.
Oh, goodness.
And eastern Colorado is warmer, as I said earlier. I don't know why I said whatever.
Yeah.
And it's helping to fuel some of these thunderstorms that you guys have been talking about. And that's about it, pretty much. I mean...
Sure. Well, getting windy somewhere by the sounds of things, and we're going to take a short break here.
Thunderstorms.
This is Force 13 Live, and you can't see my face. Where am I? Here I am. We'll be back at the start of the next hour. We'll be here in another 3 minutes' time with the latest on Nanmadol making landfall, severe weather situation, and more coverage and commentary on Invest 94L and 94E. We'll get a proper look at that tracking map in a moment as well. For now, stay tuned. This is Force 13 Live. Continues in a moment. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.co.uk at your service at any time. You can also find us on YouTube, the channel, search Force 13, all in text, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find us on Facebook at Force 13, and it's at Force 13 on Twitter, that's the handle to contact us there. You can also add Fool13 on Skype, that's FOOL13, and add extension 9094 on Discord for tropical weather chat. You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Hello, welcome to Force 13 Live. The current time is 30 seconds past the hour, 11 PM UTC, midnight here in the UK, and 8 o'clock in Japan, where Tropical Storm Nanmadol is making landfall, and we're probably going to confirm landfall in just a few moments' time. We've also got Invest 94E and 94L. 94E in the Eastern Pacific could become a significant hurricane in the next few days, or it might not. Invest 94L is currently located in the Eastern Atlantic and has a significant chance of developing into our next named storm, which will be Don. Thanks to Hank and Leighton for the last hour, who were with us during that first hour of coverage. We had to persevere at times due to the signal issues, but we're still, they've left us now. We're still joined by Craig, David and Dane. Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good to be here.
Have any more thoughts materialised with you in the, with any of you in the last few minutes whilst we've been taking a short break there? Don't jump up at once.
Well, landfall, as you said,
Yeah,
what,
you think
about
it's
5-10 minutes?
You think this is... Well, we've just got... Hold on a minute. Let's get the 8 o'clock radar image. Can we confirm a landfall? I think we can. I think it's safe to say there that Nanmadol has made landfall in Kyushu, Japan, with winds of 65 miles per hour and a pressure near 990 millibars. Guys, do you agree? That's what we're going with officially anyway here at Force 13, that Nanmadol has made landfall at 8 p.m. 8 a.m. Japan Standard Time on July 4th. Thoughts?
I'm just going to look at the Twitter platform. I'm going to type in the name of that system and just see if there's any traffic on it.
I doubt it. It's probably just people commenting on the radar. But I believe we're calling that, and I think a question just came through, by the way, not so long ago, just as we were going to the break, about whether any storm, or 94L perhaps in particular, is going to affect Trinidad and Tobago. Obviously Brett did. Craig or Dane, would you like to answer that one?
So I know that you're probably primarily concerned with 94L is probably you're thinking, because that would be the closest tropical system to even be remotely close to Trinidad and Tobago. However, when you check the models, the majority of the models tend to steer it north of even Guadeloupe, and that's well north. Guadeloupe and Barbados drags it to the north of both of the Caribbean islands. So I would say that Trinidad is relatively safe.
Yeah, I'm just going to actually... Craig, I don't know if you want to say anything first before I bring up an image here.
Yeah.
We can barely hear you though, I'm afraid.
Hang on a minute.
We'll hang for a moment. But I'm just about to get an image here to show everyone as soon as everything cooperates with me here. And somewhere around now, here is the models. This is the models that the spread, basically the model spread there for Invest 94L, and you can see that pretty much none of the models take it anywhere near Trinidad and Tobago, and you can see that the spread takes most of the models take the system north of the Lesser Antilles, and out towards the western part of the Atlantic, whether it's towards the Bahamas or to Florida as the CMC suggests, or whether it's somewhere near Bermuda as probably the center line of a lot of those models suggest, remains to be seen. But by the time it gets towards the western Atlantic, there may not be anything left of it anyway.
We have another question here. Jenna Plays Hockey asked, what's the difference between an invest and a tropical depression?
Yes, well, an invest is tagged by the by whichever. Well, usually the invests are just tagged by the U.S. Navy. Whenever there is a disturbance active anywhere in the world, they add the suffix, which in the Atlantic is L. That's why it's called 94L. In the West Pacific, for instance, it's W. Disturbances, invests, of course, are just another word for the disturbance. Really, the tropical disturbance is a very early phase in the life of a tropical cyclone, and many disturbances don't become cyclones anyway. What sets it apart from a depression, a tropical depression, is when it's got a center of circulation that's well defined enough to determine it a cyclone. Tropical depression does fall under the cyclone category, and if it's got wind speeds of less than 39 miles per hour, it will be considered a depression. If it's got more than 39 miles per hour, it will be considered a tropical storm and would be named. I hope that answers the question, but if there's any follow-up on that, we'd be more than happy to help. But if you've just heard the news, the breaking news is that Tropical Storm Nanmadol has made landfall in Japan at this hour. Not really a surprise, of course, but it has made landfall at this time, and the rain rate is increasing along the coast of Kyushu. It made landfall. In fact, I'll triangulate the location for it very soon, but I'm not sure if, Craig, you have anything further to say about Invest 94L and what the models are saying.
Wow, 94L, where do I start?
Hopefully we can get more gain on that microphone as well.
94L could be weakening.
Well, it could be. We'll take a look at the satellite on that shortly. But I just want to finish up here with Nanmadol, of course, because that is ongoing right now. I think we can pretty much triangulate the landfall location to 9 miles southwest of Nagasaki, just southwest of a smaller town located along that peninsula. Obviously, I'm not good with names. I've never been to Japan, but along that peninsula there, south of Nagasaki, that's where the storm has made landfall, and the city itself and all of its associated towns and cities in the area will be getting a significant deal with rainfall that's occurring there right now, of course. Very interesting terrain in that area as well. There's a lot of mountains, but there's a lot of water in between there as well. So it could possibly sustain itself for another hour or two yet before it really starts to capitulate on radar as well as on the satellite. But let's just bring that radar animation back up there. There's the latest radar on Nanmadol with forecast. When you see the background change color slightly, that's when the forecast comes into play, and you can see what it's expected to do over the next hour or so. So that's the latest there on Nanmadol. If there's no more questions from the viewers, we'll go through to the next part, and we'll bring up the satellite imagery on 94L. But before that, there again is the model consensus there. The yellow line is the CMC with the triangles there moving into Florida. It's an outlier right now. What we always tell you about these models is that some of them, first of all, aren't even... Some of them are statistical models, for one, which doesn't accurately predict what will happen in this particular scenario. I think those are the ones with the zeros through them. Certainly the outliers there on the left and right are. And of course, never take one particular model out of all of these and run with it, because that makes the whole thing pointless. So why would we show this full spectrum of what all the models are doing when we're only going to run with one? We don't know which model is going to verify. We don't know which one's going to be the right one, and that's why we rely on so many to give us the best possible idea of a consensus.
There is now a tornado warning for southeastern Woods County and east central Woodward County in northwestern Oklahoma.
So, what was that? Severe thunderstorm or tornado?
A tornado warning,
for
there. Southeastern Woods County and east central Woodward County in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to screen share stuff like that again, Craig, if you like, because we're covering the severe weather as well in this hour. We're doing pretty much everything, but that is a tornado warning now in effect. Whilst I'm getting up some new graphics for you, let's see what Craig is showing us here. So that is the tornado warning, tornado warned area there.
Yeah, that is definitely some halfway decent rotation there. That's a little bit dangerous. Well, at the bare minimum, a little bit. Maybe more like a lot.
Yeah. And David, are you receiving any news there?
No, just checking now. One media outlet is reporting that Cake News is reporting the tornado.
And now I believe we can bring to you some more imagery of the invest, if possible. Maybe it isn't possible. Okay, I guess not this time. We don't have imagery of the invest. All we've got is what the floater shows at the bottom left of hand side of your screen for the time being. Of what's going on with Invest 94L. Guys, question, does it have a circulation or doesn't it? There's the RAM imagery.
It's just looking
rather disorganized.
Based off the way everything's moving on that satellite, I can't necessarily identify a circulation myself.
No, I don't think we can either. Is that tornado warning still in effect? It's gone off my screen here.
It is in effect until 6:30 Central.
Oh, right,
so it'll be in effect for about another 17 minutes.
So that is the tornado warning that is in effect in sort of north central Oklahoma there. Not far from Alva to the southwest. And to the east-northeast of Woodward. David.
Re 94L, what are your thoughts, percentages on it developing? So
you would expect climatologically at this time of year that it won't do much. Now, I want to show you the latest satellite imagery from GOES 16, which I think we may now have. Or we had it somewhere. Okay, it's gone again, fine. We did have it briefly. But I wanted to try and show you that all the dry air that was in the area. But we'll get that at some point. But you did see it on the RAM imagery, of course. Okay, what we can bring to you is a still image of it. Here is what it looks like at the moment. I think it's that there. Yes, this thing here, which is located somewhere around 700 miles to the west-southwest of the Cape Verde Islands, or Cabo Verde Islands in Portuguese, and off to the northwest there you can see all that yellow area, which is dry air. You can also see it beautifully on the RAM imagery there that's being shown to us. Who's showing us that? Someone's typing a lot as well, but you can see the system there still not looking the best by anyone's standards. And to the north there you can see significant amounts of dry air. That's of course synonymous pretty much with the Saharan dust and what comes from Africa there. The eastern side of the Atlantic is always hostile to development, not only because of the Saharan air, but because of cooler sea surface temperatures over there as well. You would think being next to the Sahara Desert, sea surface temperatures would be warmer, but they're actually not. They're actually cooler than on the western side.
Yeah, in that dust, and then some of the dust from the Sahara Desert moves into the eastern Atlantic, known as the Saharan air layer, and it basically kills a lot of activity in the eastern Atlantic until the later months of the year.
So there we are. Oh, there's the Saharan air layer. Oh dear, look at that. Well, when you look at it that way, can you see much of a future? All that red area there is high amounts of Saharan dust content.
Oh, that doesn't look very healthy. Jeez, that's really developed over the last couple of weeks.
You know, I think that tornado warning was cancelled early, by the way, Dane.
Yep, that's what I'm seeing here in the chat.
But still, the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for that area in Oklahoma. But yeah, back to the Saharan dust there. You can see 94L on the bottom periphery there of that large ocean of itself, of dry air and dust and all sorts of nasty things that storms don't like. Extending almost to the Caribbean. You can certainly see the southern side of 94L is producing all that moisture there, and it's struggling on the northern side, of course, due to all of that dry air, and that will probably be a feature that we'll see as time goes on. Do you think, guys, that 94L, if it, and we do expect it, will traverse towards the west, of course. I mean, one of the models hinting it would go to the Caribbean, more saying that it would move north of the Lesser Antilles. By the time it gets over there to the western Atlantic, it's going to have possibly more favourable conditions. Do you think it will have a right go over there? Or perhaps not. I don't think Craig can speak right now as much as he'd like to.
When it comes to the west, to this thing entering the Caribbean, I would say that the shear there is probably too high, and basically the eastern U.S. is being blocked off based off current, based off what the weather models are currently suggesting. So well, if it moves north of the Caribbean islands, which is likely, which seems to be what the models say is going to happen currently, it would probably basically curve north.
If you look at it right now, though, wind shear is rather low.
In the US.
Wind shear is rather low right now in the Western Atlantic. Oh, we get to see the East Pack as well. Oh, I thought we were looking at the East Pacific. That's East Atlantic. There's the East Pacific. And you can see those two systems there. Just bring up the shear tendency for us if you could. Gives us less of a headache looking at all those lines on a small screen. There you can see, you know, the blue areas there, for those of us who like pretty colours. I certainly do. The blue and dark areas are the areas of the lowest amounts of wind shear. The yellows and the oranges and the reds are where the high amounts of wind shear are, and storms certainly don't like that. So where that next system's going to form, wind shear is actually pretty moderate where 94E is. But behind that, where the next system could possibly form, wind shear appears to be lower there too.
True.
Mm. And that is Craig faint in the background there.
Okay, so Craig's got the sorry, he's got the screen share. Craig, can you bring up upper level divergence?
And whilst we do that, you can see the latest radar image from Nanmadol, which made landfall in Japan around 20 minutes ago, 9 miles southwest of Nagasaki.
About what, 20 knots? 20 knots.
Hmm.
And that Craig, that one you've got on the screen now is what, 94L?
E. 94E.
94E. So yeah, right. East Pac. Yep.
And those severe thunderstorm warnings have moved a bit further to the southeast as well, where that tornado warning was. That's a large area of thunderstorms they're developing. It's a big cluster right now. Most of those severe thunderstorm warnings in Nebraska and Colorado are gone. There's still one left there in Nebraska by the looks of things. Yep. Being highlighted there. And lots of typing going on elsewhere as well there. Let's see. Oh, I see what Dane's doing. He's typing in the chat right now, yes.
Yup.
He's responding to you in real time. Well, you could just, Dane, if you wanted to respond to them here, you can. Because we're not doing much else here, but of course, we're looking at quite a few things that are going on.
Yeah, there really isn't a ton going on right now.
Apart from those, so in terms of the tropics, not really. Obviously, we're waiting for information about Tropical Storm Nanmadol. But besides that, I mean, there's not much that we can say about 94L or 94E. They're both going to be out at sea for a very long time if they ever reach land. Let me try and get some readings and observations from Japan right now. Obviously, we've seen the radar, and I don't know where I'm going next. Where are we going here? We'll look at what Craig's showing us instead. Some more models by the looks of things. So that's the GFS model.
Someone asked why you have Minecraft in your taskbar.
That's one for Craig, not me. I'm just trying to get some observations here whilst we're working on this. Yeah, so far the highest wind speed recorded in Kyushu from Nanmadol is something around 47 miles per hour. It's in the 40s at least. And actually, in fact, I could possibly show you what the latest wind speeds are. One moment. Okay, this is the latest from, just to steal Craig's screen share there for a moment in metaphorical terms, the latest wind speed chart from Japan, from Kyushu there. That's as of 8 o'clock, which was just 20 minutes ago. You can see the wind field must therefore be extremely small, because this in meters per second, which is a slightly different scale. I think 20 meters per second is something like 45 miles per hour. So you can see 16 there, just inland near Nagasaki. And you can see 10, 13, 11. So we're looking at wind speeds in the 30s there, possibly lower 40s, occurring in the population centres. But for large parts of the island right now, still hardly really feeling it, except in exposed mountainous locations or along the coast by the looks of things. So this is probably more for rainfall. Let's see if we can see what they're saying for rain right now. There's the latest rain so far. I'm not sure in what context that is. I don't know whether that's rain rate or amount of rain received in an hour or what, but apparently 53 millimeters have been recorded in Nagasaki, but I don't know in what time context that is. That might be in a single hour, I'm not sure. But as you can see, the highest rain totals are occurring along the coastal regions, so I just wanted to bring that to you right now. Over to Craig with the model runs there.
I don't want to butt in here, but Bryce T asked, is this hurricane season supposed to be busier than the normal for the Atlantic?
Well, the Force 13's official prediction came out with 15 tropical storms. I can't remember what the rest of them was. I think it was 10, not 10, I think it was something like 9 hurricanes, or maybe lower than that actually. I can't remember exactly what it said, but it said 15 tropical storms.
Yeah, that would be slightly above average, I believe.
That is above average.
I think average is like 13. I can't remember that for certain.
I know that for the East Pacific we said 15, 10 and 5. For the Atlantic, I can't quite remember what it was that we went with, but it was 15 tropical storms, 8 hurricanes and 4 majors is the predictions that we're going with. In the West Pacific we said 25 named storms, 15 typhoons and 10 majors. And in the North Indian, 5 named storms and 2 hurricane strength cyclones. That prediction came out on May the 26th. David, over to you. You've seen the models going by there with a few models there without any critique from us. But David, go ahead.
It's being reported that from Nagasaki, wind gusts of 150 kilometers per hour as the inner eye.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 150 kilometers an hour.
What I was showing there was
and that's the last
winds.
hour. Yep. So 150 kilometers an hour. And 16 minutes ago, another posting, Nanmadol pushing ashore now in Kyushu. I think I've said that right. Strong rain bands on radar via the JMA.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting morning over there.
And the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre has updated their information. I'm just
what now?
Going to.
They're not due to.
I'll just see when this posting. 19 minutes ago. So when would they have updated?
They would have updated some 2.5 hours ago or more.
Oh,
But I think they... let's see. I'm just checking something here that they might have come out with an updated position, but I think that might...
so what we know at this point in time is that Nagasaki is now being impacted on,
Well,
but unfortunately...
of course, the radar proves as much.
Yep. But nothing much going on in the social media platform. It's mainly delayed.
Hmm.
There's one posting
Yeah, and I don't think we
still
we will
has
see
a fair bit of energy.
I don't
Yep.
think we'll see particularly much from this apart from analysis. It will probably cause some minor effects in some places unless people haven't properly prepared, of course. Obviously the preparations are required too. Let's just talk through some of these models right now. Craig, which model are we looking at here?
That should be the wacky GFS.
The wacky GFS, he says. So you can see the system there in the central Atlantic pushing towards the northwest in the 1000s in terms of millibars. So very weak tropical depression, tropical storm perhaps, and then really weakening there. 1014, 1015 is it? 1016 there, almost becomes a high, and then moves off. And is that another system there? So that's the second system, is it? Moving into the Caribbean there, and that must be some distance out. That must be late next week, right?
Oh, yeah, it's 300 hours out.
Yeah, so we can't put much faith in that, but it's not saying much anyway. It's not particularly strong storm, but you can see that high pressure there perched over the northern Atlantic. Now where are we going?
Yep.
Is this the ECMWF?
Oh.
So there you can just about make out the system there. Off it goes. We do expect it to mill about in its current area for around a day or two. Is that it moving into the Leeward Islands there? And then really dissipating in the Eastern Caribbean graveyard, which kills so many storms.
Hey, shit.
Now you see it, now you don't, yes. Off it goes. And this is the NavGen model, which, if I remember rightly, takes it to the Caribbean as well, doesn't it?
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Just waiting for the images there. So you can see it forming there. And what does it do in those initial phases? Because some of the models were hinting at this, that it would merge with another low before moving off towards the west.
I have no idea what it's doing.
Well, GFS said something similar yesterday. But anyway, moving into the Caribbean there. And then where does it go? Just dies again near the Greater Antilles. So another one that doesn't make it. And it sounds windy somewhere as well. So the latest image from 8:30 AM is out from Japan, and it looks like Nanmadol might still be over water. I'm sure it has a name, the inlet that separates Nagasaki from the rest of Kyushu, effectively, not completely of course, but it is still, it would appear to me, over water again right now on that latest image there. That's the latest radar image, and you can see there's a more heavy rainfall encroaching into Kyushu and over those mountainous areas in the center part of the island. He's going to see some more rainfall and more strong winds, especially on those hills and exposed locations. There's the West Pacific models. If I'm right in saying they're still not predicting anything new after this, are they? Or are they?
Find out.
Find out.
Nathan, it looks like Nanmadol cyclone is maintaining its strength.
Well, it has been for a few days. but it's not going to maintain its strength for very much longer at all. So no more systems forecast from the GFS there in the West Pacific anytime soon. Another question, is 94L an anomaly or is it a sign of things to come?
Well, as we tend to progress into the active months from August through October, more of these waves continue to come on off the coast of Africa. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a sign of what's to come, but I wouldn't say it's an anomaly, because we're definitely going to see more waves coming off, more tropical waves coming off the coast of Africa. And there's definitely, and regardless of the number of waves that manage to come off it, they're not all going to do quite the same thing that 94L happens to be doing.
And at the start of that, Craig, I think, said there that Brett was the anomaly.
No, not the anomaly, the sign of things to come, possibly.
Brett's the sign of things to come?
Possibly.
This year?
Say possibly.
Well, it's happened before, after all. Oh wait, yes, it was also called Brett, wasn't it? 1993.
Connor Olmstead asked, when will global warming really start to affect hurricanes?
Well, I don't think there's any particular signs at the moment. Certainly not in numbers.
From what I've heard of when it comes to global warming, you see, global warming happens to be warming up the surface temperatures. So I would say that the impacts from global warming on hurricanes won't necessarily be having more of them, but rather we might see more landfalls in locations that we typically wouldn't expect a landfall to occur.
Yes, it's an interesting and very complex subject, and that warrants a further discussion of its own, I think, sometime here on Force 13. But at the moment, I don't think we
maybe
really
it'll
know
be
exactly what's going to happen and how yet. Sorry?
13 someday.
Yes. Now, Craig, that is a system just off Japan there. That's not Nanmadol, is it? No, Nanmadol's off into the Bering Sea. So, is that tropical? No, that thing near Tokyo.
This?
No? Okay. So, not much else going on, and there are a few little disturbances down there in the Philippine Sea.
I think this one could be an infest.
Yes, quite easily. Could even be near depression status. And what does it do? Anything?
No, because it's at the end of the run.
Oh, right, that's the end of the run, so it's some distance out there.
Avgem, I don't think, predicts anything. Because the model.
Alright.
Well, let's see. So, sign of things to come for the way back. Dearie me.
So basically none of the models are saying anything will happen in the West Pacific anytime soon after Nanmadol leaves us.
Except for December we have.
Alright. Okay.
It's really far out.
Well, in the meantime, we've got 20 more minutes to run here, and apart from showing you the latest radar imagery from Nanmadol, there's not much else we can tell you particularly, but if you've got any questions for us, we're more than happy to go ahead with them. But there's another severe thunderstorm warning in Nebraska, by the way, still moving around near Bridgeport, just to the east. A severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. Still large parts of Texas and Oklahoma have severe thunderstorm watches and some warnings still out there. to particular areas. But that one in Oklahoma right now is really blowing up.
Yeah, they normally do, because this is small, Good lord.
Alright, so... Okay, we're homing in now on the Oklahoma system there. Look to that on the left-hand side there. There's another view. With me on the side. Why am I there? Now that's a line of thunderstorms there. That's the one, that's the area from Colorado into Nebraska. Quite a few showers going on across the US as well today by the looks of things. But there again is the watch area with those warnings in that large area of thunderstorms. Alright, well, let's see if there's any more questions here. Not at this moment in time. So, guys, what are your thoughts of Invest 94E? Do you think it will become a hurricane?
I think we've got Lee in the studio, so
Oh, we have.
Lee, I'm saying no.
You're saying it won't. Do you think? Yes.
I would say that if a system went along this kind of track in like September or October, then it would definitely be a hurricane. But I think
you're talking about 94L,
based off
aren't
the
you?
track that it's taking, I think it's just a little bit too early in the season.
That's for 94L. I mentioned 94E though, the one in the Pacific.
Oh.
I think we're due another hurricane there, a stronger one. Oh, and whilst we're here, Hurricane Dora. Who agrees with me that it reached Category 2 intensity? No one? Outrageous.
Well, why would I not agree with you?
Oh, you do? Oh, you could have said so.
I agree with you too. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because Dora looked impeccable, in my opinion. And I certainly think it was a Category 2 with 100-mile-an-hour winds. Yet it officially stayed at just 90 miles an hour, Category 1, which I found to be very interesting. Briefly, it had the appearance of a Category 3, but it only kept that appearance for a very, very short amount of time, all of 10 or 15 minutes, so you couldn't call it a Category 3 storm, but 100 miles an hour I think is quite fair for Hurricane Dora. I just wanted to say that in particular. And just to note that we do intend here on the Force 13 live streams to run, we're trying to aim towards a schedule of going with a live event every day now, at least for an hour, to discuss the latest in the tropics, almost like a live tropical weather bulletin that we do every day. So I'm looking forward to that immensely, and hopefully we'll have our own productions going on here as well if people want to use the platform. But for the time being, you're looking at the latest imagery of several things on your screen right now. The main feature there is the radar imagery, which I'm just about to update, of Nanmadol, which made landfall not so long ago at around 8 AM local time in Japan, which would have been some 45 minutes ago. And let's take a look now at the latest close-up. There it is right now. That is just 5 minutes ago. You can see that the center of the storm is losing its composure. You can still see on the northeastern side the rainfall is still rather substantial. The wind gusts are probably getting up in there significantly as well. David, do you want to just repeat the news that you got earlier about the winds?
Well, 100 50 kilometers an hour. I think that's what I said.
So
Sorry,
around it was around a 90-mile-an-hour gust was recorded earlier on the island of Kyushu. But so far,
Yes.
as far as sustained winds are concerned, I think we've only seen something around 47, 48 miles per hour, which is still significant, of course, tropical storm force.
And Nathan, information cited National Hurricane Center has up percentages on 94L. Formation area
that's-
cone in. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty predictable, I should think, because this system does appear as though it will form. Force 13's Storm Early Warning System, SUES, its last update, which I will show you again here. The last update on Force 13 SUES, you can see it there, predicting that it would become a tropical depression by tomorrow evening, and that it would become a tropical storm early on Wednesday.
And direction in the short term.
Well, initially, at the moment, you can see on the SUES page there that it's going with north briefly, and then off towards the west. It may not be so clearly north, it may be more towards the west to begin with, so we'll wait and see on what it exactly does. It is moving west, it was moving sort of towards the south, but it's very difficult to discern with these things because Invest 94L still doesn't have a center, or at least didn't until recently. Well, we don't really know whether it has a center or not, but it's close. But it was moving southwest or south, and now it's moving slowly west, and its position and movement is pretty unclear and uncertain. So it could move north, it could continue west, and that could possibly change the forecast track respectively to the north or south. I don't think the track will shift any further north. It will probably shift somewhat further to the south, and I think something like a Lesser Antilles Leeward Islands approach might be the most likely scenario at this point. This page, the Force 13 SUES page, will update within an hour of the end of our stream, which is coming up in just a few moments.
Would you,
Both nights, it seems.
sorry, Dane, would you support a west-northwest track in the future?
Who, me?
Yep.
Well, yes, of course. You can see on a large part of that forecast it's west-northwest.
Alright. But I agree with your position, possibly a south or even southwest in the short term.
Well, it has done that. I'm not sure whether it will continue to do that. We'll have to wait and see, but at the moment it looks like it's westerly. But at this point, I think we're probably done for the night, because we don't really have much else to say, to be honest. Nanmadol made landfall this evening, around 50 minutes ago, at 8 o'clock local time in Japan. Oh, there I am. You've gone down a bit too much now, camera. There we go. And we've still got Invest 94L and 94E active in the tropics as well. Nanmadol will be moving through the rest of Japan now, where gale warnings and typhoon warnings are in effect, with winds of around 45 to 50 miles an hour already being recorded, with gusts of up to 90 miles per hour. So obviously it's a significant storm, if a little small and compact, of course. Rainfall totals are significant, and that was the breaking news this hour, that it made landfall, and we probably won't be seeing it for much longer. We'll be watching Invest 94L on Force 13's SUES page and elsewhere, and on more live events in the future. And if you enjoyed our coverage, we hope you stick around in the future as well. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter, search Force 13 all in text, and you can add Fool13 on Skype, FOOL13, and add extension 9094 on Discord. Any final parting comments from you guys before we finish up?
Yeah, we got my screen share, have you?
No.
Right, to forget it. I was going to bring a update on Tropical Cyclone Debbie's massive destruction to the south of Brisbane in the state of Queensland. And so I will have to post that to the Australian channel.
Well, we'll put it on the we'll put on the schedule for our next show, hey?
All right.
All right. Wonderful. And Isaac has just joined us in his last moment. Hi.
Hi.
What's going on?
Heat.
Heat indeed.
Yes.
And, of course, for the American audience, it's the holiday weekend, I guess.
Yeah.
Into the week.
Even though it's
4th of
technically
July.
not the weekend.
It isn't anymore.
Tuesday.
Yeah, it's felt like a long weekend. They've been going on about July 4th for ages, haven't they?
Summer vacation is basically a 10-week long weekend.
Wow. Why can't we have one of those? Anyway, that's it for Force 13 Live. We'll see you again soon. Have a great week. Thanks. Goodbye. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.co.uk at your service at any time. You can also find us on YouTube, the channel, search Force 13, all in text, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find us on Facebook at Force 13, and it's at Force 13 on Twitter, that's the handle to contact us there. You can also add Fool13 on Skype, that's FOOL13, and add extension 9094 on Discord for tropical weather chat.